Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Just joined Rocks. Fusion Saitama Template. Chapter 21. Chin-Zi's words fell into the ears of Pirate Zhang. Caused a round of cheers. Finally going to take the initiative to attack. What's wrong with the captain of the first team, the Golden Lion? Ha ha ha. Chin-Zi hockey. Some pirates are people who watch the excitement and don't think it's a big deal. Previously, the Golden Lion was an unrivaled existence in their eyes. Now a rookie captain actually fights back and forth with him. It makes them feel very high. At this moment, people who didn't like Chin-Zi before. Unexpectedly, most of them were in Chin-Zi's camp. And compared to others, among the crowd, Kaido's eyes were especially fiery. Since he lost to Chin-Zi last time, he has been exercising desperately. Thinking that one day I can get the place back. But Chin-Zi on the court now. It is already an existence that can compete with the Golden Lion. Kaido's still immature face was full of unwillingness and indignation. At this time, he looked at Chin-Zi, who was cheered by everyone. In his heart, he became more determined and wanted to become stronger. And the cadres such as Akoku on the side. He directly ignored the cheers of the pirates. Looking at Chin-Zi on the field, his eyes were full of solemnity. Because the words come out can only prove one thing. Chin-Zi hasn't used his full strength yet. Sudden. Standing aside, Whitebeard felt the entire island shake. His eyes froze, looked to the Golden Lion in midair. Opened the mouth, coming. At the same time, on the field, the Golden Lion was only 10 meters above the ground. At this time, it has flown to a position of tens of meters. Look from a distance. Only a black dot can be seen. But Golden Lion's wild laughter directly ignored the distance. Resounded in the hearts of everyone. He ha 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 ha. Attack me, you can hit me before you talk. Then let you see my true strength. The Golden Lion laughed, his voice was deafening. On the island, his laughter echoed at this moment. Even the sound of the waves crashing on the shore was covered by laughter at this moment. Sudden, Golden Lion suppressed his laughter. His complexion changed, and haki was fully open. The pupils contracted, ejaculation ejaculated in the pupils, and the long blonde hair, which was as tall as a person, was flying in the air. Next moment, Golden Lion put away the two famous swords in his hands, Sakura Ten and Dead Wood. The Devil Fruit ability is enabled. I saw him make a move. The whole island was trembling at this moment. All the pirates felt the earthquake. They all looked terrified. Is this what Lion Fruit is really capable of? And look at Chin-Zi again. There was no change in the expression on his face at this moment. It's just that the red light on his body is more intense. A powerful coercion erupted from Chin-Zi's body. Everyone saw this scene. All hold their breath. Now comes the time to really show off your means. At this time, in this island, there is nothing but the lapping of the waves. There is no other sound. Like the calm before the storm. Sudden, Golden Lion gave a loud shout. Lion Majesty. Earth coiling. Falling with the sound, he swung his right hand sharply downward. In an instant, the sea water poured down, and the rocks rolled. Boom! The loud sound was like a volcano erupting. Coming from all directions, some pirates have never seen such a scene. All of them turned pale with fright. I thought I was going to die here. And that's just the beginning. Next second. Behind the Golden Lion, the whole ground was lifted up. The land with a radius of hundreds of meters bulges. Tens of thousands of tons of land are under the action of lion fruit. Get off the ground and fly into the sky. And constantly changing forms. In an instant, dozens of terrifying earth lions formed from mud took shape. Each one is a full 10 meters high. He opened his hideous and terrifying mouth with an extraordinary momentum. Like 10,000 horses galloping, they galloped towards Chin-Zi. The other side. Chin-Zi's tall and straight body stood on the ground, his black hair was windless, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit. Step right foot to the ground. With Chin-Zi's location as the center point on the ground, circles of cobweb-like cracks appeared. Explode a huge pit with a diameter of more than 10 meters. In billowing smoke and dust, only a slender figure could be seen moving quickly. In the blink of an eye, he came to an earth lion. The right fist swung out at full speed, hitting the lion's head with great force. Instantly, landslides fly. A huge earth lion about 10 meters high. Under Chin-Zi's fist, he was directly smashed to pieces. The disintegrated earth and rocks fell down. It hit the ground and raised a cloud of dust. Under the cloud of dust, the figure of Chinzi quickly shuttled between different earth lions. Because the speed is too fast, all I could see was a black lightning flashing continuously in the air. Every time you touch an earth lion, he will collapse directly. That's the testimony that Chinzi's fist landed on it. With the loud noise, dozens of earth lions were all crushed by Chinzi in an instant. But it's not over yet. Golden Lion didn't stop there. Frowning slightly, he squeezed the fingers of his right hand into his palm. Immediately, dozens of earth lions rose from the ground out of thin air. At the same time, Golden Lion shouted loudly, "I don't believe it, how long can your physical strength last for you?" Now, under the influence of lion fruit, even the surrounding sea was turned up with huge waves. The entire island will be submerged. Captain Whitebeard saw this and used shock fruit's ability to counteract the huge waves. Next moment, the ending of these dozens of earth lions. The result was exactly the same as before, all of which were blown away by Chinzi. The earth lion, which is more than 10 meters away, was crushed by Chinzi's punch. It's really punching to the flesh. This duel is simply a feast for the eyes. Chinzi is amazing. This physical strength feels like it will never be used up. Strong physique, amazing explosive power, and continuous fighting state. And hockey. Let others live. Seeing such a scene, the pirates exclaimed endlessly. Next moment, Golden Lion used the fruit ability to gather dozens of earth lions on the ground. The body shape is even bigger. They opened their mouths wide and ran forward with all 4 hooves. The whole island trembled. The island, which was peaceful before, has become riddled with holes. There are holes in the ground everywhere. Because the land was condensed into a huge lion. The terrain of the ground dropped suddenly. The sea surged up frantically. Golden Lion is crazy. He's gone crazy. Hurry up. All the people get on board. We can't stay here anymore. This island is going to be sunk by them. Quote, quote. The confrontation between the two was so powerful that even the captains had to return to the boat. Even with their protection, during this battle, many pirates died unexpectedly. But how can Chinzi and Golden Lion on the court control these things? The Golden Lion at this time just want to beat Chinzi quickly. Even if it is consumed by earth lions, it will consume until the oil is exhausted and the lamp is dry. But things backfired. Chinzi seemed to have endless physical strength. Between these earth lions shuttle back and forth. All these newly formed earth lions were wiped out. Golden Lion, it's no fun for you to become these things. They're all chickens and dogs. At this time, Chinzi's voice seemed to have a penetrating power. Cover the whole field. Even the crew members who had already returned to the rocks could hear it clearly. Heard the words. Anger rose sharply on Golden Lion's face. However, at this time, after cleaning up Chinzi of the earth lion, his right leg was slightly bent, and a pair of sharp black eyes were raised to see through the billowing dust, locking on to the Golden Lion's position. Next moment, Chinzi's body disappeared directly on the spot. Boom! The sky-shattering loud noise exploded, no less than the detonation of a giant bomb. The sound alone made people unable to help covering their ears. The huge pit appeared in situ. The people on the boat watched from afar. I saw a light and shadow approaching ultimate, using the sky as the canvas, like a bright remnant star penetrating the sky and the earth. What kind of explosive power is this? I only see an afterimage. Because the speed is too fast, I thought Chinzi just disappeared. Seeing the situation on the small island, everyone could feel the terrifying explosive force even on the boat. Even Rox, who has never fluctuated, can't help being amazed at this time. Looking at Chinzi's figure, there was a complicated look in his eyes. Gu la la la. Chinzi's explosive power is truly amazing. I didn't expect that after such a fierce battle, he could still maintain such physical strength. Whitebeard laughed, seeing Chinzi behave like this. He is happy from the bottom of his heart. The other captains were silent at this time, because their attention was all on Chinzi on the court. Look at that afterimage. A breather. He came to the Golden Lion. I can't hit you, can I? Now what? Chinzi said slowly, and at the same time he swung his fist. However, although Golden Lion was shocked in his heart, he reacted quickly. The sakura-ten and dead wood around his waist were pulled out instantly. Covered with armament haki on both sides. Under the sun's rays, it exudes a black light. I'd like to see if it's your fists, or my two famous knives. The voice just fell. Then he slashed at Chinzi's hands covered with emission. Seeing this, Chinzi did not back down. He clenched his fist and hit the blade directly. Clang! Sparks flew out of it. In less than a second. The two sides have met dozens of times. Both sides come and go. With the rebound force of constant fighting, Chinzi constantly adjusted his body so as not to fall directly. But Golden Lion has seen more than a dozen matches, but they didn't take advantage of it. Directly cut down fiercely. Clang! Although Chinzi blocked the attack, but the body fell straight to the ground. Same time. Golden Lion grabbed it with a big hand. Roared. Lion Majesty. Govern place earth coiling. I heard this. The eyelids of the captains on board were all twitching. This Golden Lion really has red eyes. This trick has been used. It seems that this competition is coming to an end. To push Golden Lion to this level, Chinzi is already good enough. The captains knew that this was the Golden Lion's trick. The moment Golden Lion's voice fell, the devastated ground swelled up again. Just this time, not just earth and rock on the ground. Even the sea trembled. The sea was originally calm, but now it is under the influence of lion fruit. Suddenly the waves were rough. Sea water is rolled up. Form a giant water lion in the air. Rocks, teetering on the water. If it weren't for the presence of many big shots. At this point the ship has capsized. Next moment, I saw the surroundings of the island. 20 or so water lions took shape in an instant. Plus a dozen earth lions on the island. At the same time, they rushed towards Chinzi. Boom. Now, the sky is changing. It seems to be telling how powerful this power is. And those pirates on board, already dumbfounded. Everyone was dumbfounded. In this match between Chinzi and Golden Lion, they have been shocked too many times. Feeling numb now. At the same time, Whitebeard and the others looked in the direction of the island. His expression gradually became serious. They captains know the power of Golden Lion's move. There are not many who can follow. What a powerful physique. I don't know if he can continue. Charlotte Linlin, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke. Looking at Chinzi on the field, there was a different feeling in his eyes. When all the captains saw this, they were all clear in their hearts and shook their heads one after another. Men who can be her focus. That's 80% to be looked at. But how could Chinzi, who was on the court at this time, know what was happening outside? The body just fell to the ground. Still standing still. Dozens of lions rushed towards us with a violent breath. Chinzi fell to the ground with a bang, making a big hole in the ground. Earth and rocks splashed and dust rose. But before Chinzi could stand still, dozens of lions rushed towards the place where Chinzi landed with a violent aura. In an instant, Chinzi's body was submerged under the watering of seawater and mud. In the place where Chinzi is, a mound with a height of tens of meters and a diameter of more than 10 meters was directly piled up. Chinzi's figure had disappeared. See this scene. Whitebeard on board feels badly. His eyes were full of worry. Didn't even think about it. Whitebeard threw a boat over the rocks. The tall body wanted to sit on it and go to rescue Chinzi. But suddenly, under that mound, a terrifying force came from within. Boom, rumble, the dull voice kept ringing. Sounds like hell. The whole island was shaking. Next moment, I saw in the mound. A familiar figure broke through the mound and shot out. It was Chinzi who was buried. Him at this time. His body was covered in mud. And there are tiny wounds everywhere. Blood dripped down the fingers. This hit let Chinzi's powerful body finally break through. However, at this time, I saw Chinzi who broke through the ground. Akoku's eyes were full of horror. Was hit head-on by Golden Lion's blow. He originally thought that Chinzi would not be able to get out if he was buried in it. Did not expect. He didn't just come out with his own brute force. And there is only such a little injury on the body. It looked like Chinzi was in a terrible state, bleeding all over his body. But that's all skin trauma. It's not to the point where it hurts. As that human being, Akoku was in a daze, looking at the upright Chinzi on the court. Murmured, although I don't want to admit it, but with the strength Chinzi has shown so far, I'm afraid I have no chance of winning against him. Silver Axe sighed and said helplessly. Let the captain of the Rocks Pirates say such a thing. It is enough to prove how powerful Chinzi is. According to his physical fitness. Don't talk about hitting. It is to let Chinzi break through the defense. That is an extremely difficult thing. Gu la la la. Chinzi really won't let me down. Whitebeard saw Chinzi come back into sight. While taking back the boat that was dropped just now, he praised again and again on one side of his mouth. The worries in my heart were swept away. Linlin knew that Chinzi could do it. Charlotte laughed and Linlin looked at Chinzi and liked it more and more. The Longbred next to him listened and glanced at Linlin. He glanced at Chinzi in the distance again. Charlotte and Linlin really find it difficult to change their temperament of loving one another. The other side, in the field of vision of the Golden Lion, Chinzi stood on the devastated mound, ragged, in a state of distress, and bleeding all over his body. However, Golden Lion wasn't half happy about it. Because it was already his strongest blow just now. However, it failed to seriously injure Chinzi. This made him feel unacceptable. To know, rely on this trick, he has killed many strong men. Those people who are engulfed by this trick will be directly crushed into mud. Although Golden Lion knew that Chinzi's physique was not enough to hurt his life. But it is perfectly possible to make him incapable of fighting. But the reality is, feel the gaze of the Golden Lion. Chinzi raised his eyes and looked at him, the corners of his mouth raised. Next moment, Chinzi stepped on the boulder mound, his body sank suddenly, and the earth and rocks bounced, and he was already lifted into the sky. The mound of soil under his feet exploded directly, and the broken soil shot around like bullets. At this time, Golden Lion was already sweating profusely due to the frequent amplified moves. He is not a monster like Chinzi. Due to his frequent moves, his physical strength is declining rapidly. Seeing Chinzi bursting from the ground, I was even more shocked. The double swords covering conquerors in his hands are crossed on his chest. Next moment, Chinzi, who had already come before him, took off armament hockey from his body. It all comes together on the fist. Next second, a penetrating force was transmitted from Chinzi's spine to his right fist, and then burst out violently. Clang! A loud sound came out. 100 meters away, the pirates on the boat could hear it clearly. The eardrums felt like they were about to be shocked and bleed. Accompanied by the transmission of sound, Golden Lion's body could no longer stabilize at this moment. Huge strength came from the twin sabers. In an instant, Golden Lion is like a falling meteor, slammed directly from the air to the ground. Boom! The voice came. On the ground, a human-shaped pothole suddenly appeared. The dense cracks on the side spread to the surroundings. Get up from the pit. At this time, the Golden Lion no longer regained its former prestige. The long golden hair was covered with mud, the black robe on his body was also blown away by the strong wind, and the natal cigar did not know where it fell. Several wounds were still bleeding. His face was extremely ugly, so gloomy that it seemed that water could drip out. You're such a monster. Cough cough. Golden Lion cursed, and then coughed violently. He didn't have Chinzi's physique, this blow already made him a bit too much. And the other side, Chinzi fell to the ground. Although it doesn't look much better than Golden Lion. But Chinzi obviously still has more energy. Looking at the embarrassed Golden Lion, he said slowly. It's not over yet. I had a great time playing just now, now it's my turn. Chinzi smiled strangely. The voice just fell. Then a dodge came in front of the Golden Lion. Both fists hit the Golden Lion's face directly. The Golden Lion who has seen Chinzi's boxing power. Heart terrified. Now a batch of falls. Don't want to be head-to-head at all. The first thing that comes to mind is to use the fruit ability to jump into the air. But I found that my physical strength was not enough, and I couldn't perform at all. In desperation, it can only be blocked in front with the double knives in hand. Even Hockey forgot to use it. Waited for a while. Even the Golden Lion didn't feel the huge force coming from the knife. At this time, Golden Lion felt empty-handed. Open your eyes and look around. The Sakura 10 and the dead wood in his hands are gone. When looking at Chinzi again, found 2 knives in his hand. On the rocks, a group of pirates looked in the direction of the island. It was an unremarkable island with lush vegetation. In the contest between Chinzi and Golden Lion, 2/3 of it has been submerged by seawater. And the seawater has a tendency to continue to flood. In the center of the island, Chinzi and the Golden Lion are facing each other. Chinzi, give me back my knife. Cough cough. Golden Lion's face was scorched. At this time, he was so angry that he jumped up and down in a hurry. Under the violent mood swings, he coughed violently again. Ha ha ha, Golden Lion, are you a 3-year-old? We are pirates, and we have snatched things with our strength, so you can pay them back if you say so. Chinzi laughed wantonly, looking at the anxious Golden Lion at this time, with a playful look on his face. It turned out that in the previous attack, when Chinzi was about to hit Golden Lion's double knives with his fist, turning his fist into a palm, he grabbed the 2 knives, exerted force with his arms, and pulled them out of Golden Lion's hand. Brother Chinzi, I owe you a favor, return the knife to me. Knowing that it is impossible to make Chinzi return the knife with hard power, the Golden Lion could only plead, and almost knelt down to Chinzi. These 2 Sakura-ten and Deadwood are the 2 famous knives that Golden Lion has the deepest affection for. Followed him in countless battles. Golden Lion has long regarded them as wives. At this time, it was held in the hands of others. He felt his head start to glow. A great swordsman was snatched away by others. It is simply a great shame. Okay, since we are all in the same pirate group, I won't make things difficult for you. Didn't you say before that after you lose, I can make any request? Well, you can give me these 2 famous knives. Holding 2 knives, Chinzi gestured a few times in the air, which was quite convenient. Said slowly. Hearing this, Golden Lion turned his face and was about to cry, hesitating and opening his mouth. He really regretted it now. Why would he mess with Chinzi, the monster, if he had nothing to do? It's just asking for trouble. He wished he could go back to the time when he invited the battle and slapped that arrogant Golden Lion a few times. Golden Lion is not someone who can afford to lose. He lost against the rocks. But what he couldn't accept was losing to a young man. And the other party didn't attack by surprise, nor did they use any dishonorable means. I used all the moves in an upright manner, but I was still defeated. When he thought that his fame in the first life was about to be destroyed, and the knife was still in the hands of others. Chirp. He sat directly on the ground, and his mentality exploded. Golden Lion is autistic. Ha 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 ha. See this scene. Chinzi laughed loudly, without any concealment. I didn't expect the dignified flying pirate to look like this. Looking at the small island that was about to be destroyed, Chinzi stopped laughing. This island is about to flood. While speaking, the 2 knives were in one hand, and he grabbed the Golden Lion who was sitting on the ground. One step, jumped directly from the small island. Draw a parabola in the air. Falling straight towards the pirate ship rocks. Boom. When Chinzi landed on this huge ship of hundreds of meters, leaned directly to one side. If it weren't for Chinzi's strength, he might have smashed through it directly. And the island in the distance. Under Chinzi's footsteps, she was already covered with scars, but now she sank even faster. Not for a while. The bare island that was already beaten disappeared into the sea. The people on the pirate ship saw Chinzi holding the Golden Lion and the 2 famous swords Sakura-ten and Deadwood. It fell on the ship like a cannonball. One by one was dumbfounded. Chinzi. Win. Golden Lion has been defeated. Captain Chinzi, I want to join your team. Quote. The pirate crew who saw this scene at this time. Amazing cheers erupted. When looking at Chinzi, his eyes were full of admiration. Some members who hadn't chosen a team yet began to set their sights on Chinzi's team. Ha 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 ha. Golden Lion, aren't you crazy? Ha ha ha. A great swordsman, even his sword was robbed by others. Where is your natal cigar? Why don't you smoke it now? Quote. Akoku, John, Silver Axe and several other captains. He looked at the Golden Lion, which had been wilted at this time. Laugh out loud. The ridicule is directly full. However, in the face of the ridicule of these people, Golden Lion didn't say a word, and sat slumped on the deck. Gu la la la. Chinzi, I didn't expect you to have grown to this extent. It made me worry for a long time. Whitebeard was excited when he saw Chinzi's return. Also don't forget to taunt the Golden Lion on the side. Golden Lion, why are you autistic? Challenged Chin-Z, now his face is gone. For the words of old enemy Whitebeard, Golden Lion miraculously did not answer back this time. Instead, he kept looking at Chin-Z silently. Or the two knives in Chin-Z's hand. Forget it. The knife is returned to you. Seeing the Golden Lion staring at him, Chin-Z said impatiently. Say it. With a wave of his hand, two famous knives were thrown in front of Golden Lion. In fact, Chin-Z never thought of having these two knives. I just want to discuss the Golden Lion. I originally thought of giving it to him in a few days, but seeing him like this, I was really speechless. Seeing that Chin-Z returned the knife to himself, Golden Lion's eyes suddenly lit up, and he quickly picked it up. Pulled back to the waist numbly. Cough cough I, Golden Lion, always keep my word. I told you before that you don't need to raise the conditions, but you can do so now. Golden Lion, who has regained two famous knives, seems to have suddenly come to life. He stood up and said to Chin-Z. Seeing his appearance, Chin-Z cursed secretly. Because he had good reason to doubt it. Just now Golden Lion was deliberately selling badly. After thinking about it, Chin-Z didn't think of any conditions. After a pause, he said, go back and talk about it. At this time, Captain Rock's voice came suddenly. Continue to sail on the original route. After taking a deep look at Chin-Z, he didn't say anything more. Turn around and go back to the cabin. When the others heard the words, they also put away their expressions of watching the show. They all returned to their residences. A battle between captains. This is the end, but the scene of the battle was deeply imprinted in everyone's heart. After the Great War, on the rocks, the pirates were discussing the wonderful fight just now. Words such as Chin-Z's awesomeness popped up from time to time. It's like dropping by. Some pirates gather in small groups to exchange ideas with each other. Chin-Z didn't have much interest in this. Go back to your room and close the door. Chin-Z let out a breath. In front of the mirror, I checked the injury. The person in the mirror is covered in blood. Chin-Z turned around and picked up a basin and a towel. Wipe off the blood stains on the surface of the skin with clean water. Bronze skin is on display. On the skin, there are many densely packed small wounds. This is all the result of Golden Lion's strongest blow. But fortunately, although it looks more, but none of the bones were injured. Gulu, gulu. At this time, there was a growling sound from the stomach. Chin-Z's thoughts were interrupted. A sense of fatigue and hunger suddenly flooded in like a tide. In this battle, the huge consumption of physical strength, I didn't feel much during the battle. But when he stopped for a while, he became exhausted. At this time, Chin-Z felt dizzy in his eyes, eager to have a big meal. Why are you suddenly so hungry? If at this time, there is a sea beast in front of Chin-Z. He felt like he could eat him. Opening the door, Chin-Z came to the restaurant inside the pirate ship in the fastest time. At this time, inside the restaurant, it's already full of people. In the kitchen area, a short and fat man with a beak-like nose and a big hat is constantly making food. This is the head chef of the rocks, the Baguette. Seeing Chin-Z approaching, everyone who was still eating immediately stopped their movements. The eyes are full of awe. But Chin-Z directly ignored these fiery gazes, found a place close to the long bread, and sat down. Coincidentally, Kaido is also nearby. In order to get food more conveniently, the two had exactly the same idea. After asking for a bunch of food, Chin-Z started his cooking time. When the others saw Chin-Z start, they also looked away. On the dining table next to the baguette, huge chunks of meat were continuously fed into Chin-Z's mouth. While eating, Chin-Z was still thinking about the fight just now. Through this battle, Chin-Z had a very clear understanding of his own strength. The current strength can be said to be in the echelon of the world's top powerhouses. Between Golden Lion and Rocks, against the naval headquarters big names, Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp should be fine. And in this battle, in addition to the above, Chin-Z gained invaluable combat experience and combat skills. Of course, Armament Hockey and Conqueror's Hockey have also been improved to varying degrees. Through the comprehension in actual combat, Chin-Z's Armament Hockey emission is already available at your fingertips. This is the embodiment of entering a high-level state. and on the level of conquerors. Even against Golden Lion, the long-established great swordsman. Not much more. But Chinzi grabbed a piece of meat with his right hand and put it into his mouth, thinking to himself. Although it is much higher than other pirates. But these are not enough. It is necessary to improve one's own strength to the point where it is strong enough. That's all. Only in this world where the jungle preys on the jungle can we have enough sense of security. After all, be careful sailing 10,000 years boats. Soon, the food in front of Chinzi was finished. But Chinzi felt that it was not enough. So, he asked Longbread for another table of food. See this scene. Kaido next to him is not calm anymore. He came earlier than Chinzi, but the food in front of him was not completely finished. Kaido thinks it is obviously provocative for him to sit on his side instead of sitting in so many seats. As the man on the Rocks pirate ship, he eats the most and eats the fastest. Kaido can't accept that someone can eat him. Especially when the opponent is Chinzi, whom he has always wanted to surpass. Under the man's desire to win, Kaido decided to surpass Chinzi in terms of food first, and then in terms of strength. Ever since, Kaido wiped out all the food on the table with lightning speed. After eating, he hammered on the table with both hands, with a fierce look on his face. Shouted, "Whoever eats such a small amount, have another one of the same." The sound resounded throughout the restaurant, and everyone present could hear it clearly. Some people can't help but look sideways. Such a fierce meal, those who didn't know would think that Kaido was going to eat people. Not for a while. I saw that in front of Kaido, a large bowl of food was brought up. And beside him, Chinzi was frantically stuffing food into his mouth. Immediately, Kaido showed no sign of weakness either. He grabbed the food in his hand and sent it to his mouth. There is no need to chew at all, just one step to the stomach. People who saw this scene. It is also roughly understood. These two are competing for the king of appetite. Originally only some people were watching. As they eat faster and faster. Everyone in the restaurant stopped eating and looked towards Chinzi one after another. But Chinzi didn't even know that Kaido was competing with him. I just feel so hungry that I can't get enough to eat. Only non-stop eating can relieve the hunger. Soon, the food that was just served on Chinzi's table was eaten up. Yet it is not enough. Chinzi didn't feel full yet. So I took another one. Seeing that Chinzi could still eat, Kaido certainly wouldn't stop there. I'll have another one too. Hear this. The face of the long bread is green. Oh shit, haven't eaten for a few days. Although I use the fruit ability to make food very quickly, it also consumes energy. But in the face of these two heavyweights, he couldn't refuse. Wipe the sweat off his brow. Continue to invest in the production. Under the help of the long bread, 2 large pots of food were soon made. Although these foods do not have the taste of the food itself. But it doesn't prevent them from filling their hunger. A couple of well-intentioned crewmen brought 2 plates. Put it in front of Chinzi and Kaido. Look at the food in front of you. Without any hesitation, Chinzi grabbed the food inside with his right hand and started to dry it. Kaido next to him saw this. Snorted. Directly use both hands to stuff the food into the mouth continuously. The pirates watching in the restaurant had no interest in eating at all. All were attracted by the two of them. Some pirates started shouting for cheer. Not for a while. Led by these people, a tsunami of cheers erupted throughout the restaurant. There are several pirates, even opened the gamble. Bet on Chinzi on the left to win, bet on Kaido on the right. The sound of cheering was very enthusiastic, and they all cheered for Chinzi overwhelmingly. But they are physically honest. All in Kaido wins. After all, let's not talk about anything else, the size of the two of them is right there. From this point of view alone, Kaido must be the one who will last to the end. And Chinzi with an expression of ignorance. After hearing the cheers from the people around him. Only then did he react slowly. Looking at Kaido on the other side, notice how he looks now. It became clear immediately. I couldn't help being speechless for a while. This Kaido, I'm afraid he has some serious illness. Every meal he wants to compete with me to win or lose. But speechless is speechless. Things still have to be eaten. As time goes by, the stomachs of the two of them were like a bottomless pit. No matter how much food came, they would all be accepted. The loaves were almost spread out in the kitchen. At the table of two. It was full of dishes and large basins. However, it's not over yet. The game is still going on. Neither of them stopped. In the restaurant, more and more people gather. Some crew members who were outside the restaurant were attracted here. Everyone was dumbfounded looking at the plates placed on the field. This is really edible. I can't eat 10 of them. I know that Kaido can eat, but I didn't expect Captain Shinzi to be so good. How did the two of them grow up? How much food does this have to eat? Whatever. Anyway, it's food made from fruits. Tisk tisk tisk. After eating so much, Shinzi's belly doesn't seem to get bigger. Some of the watching pirates began to comment on the two people on the field. Especially Shinzi. How could a body of about 1.8 meters be able to eat so much? It's unbelievable. Many people expressed their incomprehension. There are only two words to explain this phenomenon. Monster. Wait, look at Shinzi's body. Those scars seem to be slowly healing. Really, some sharp-eyed pirates noticed the changes in Shinzi at this time. In the previous fight with Golden Lion, those dense scars, at this time, is healing. It has turned into some faint bloodstains. Others also discovered this phenomenon under their prompting. Pirates who saw this scene all took a breath. The food eaten by Shinzi was directly digested and turned into energy. Healing his body. Is this the secret that Shinzi can eat so much? What a terrifying physique this is. However, in the amazed eyes of the pirates, Shinzi's speed did not decrease at all, and he was still eating like crazy. And next to Kaido. But the aura of the beginning was gone. The ferocious look on the whole face was replaced by other expressions. That is the unique expression of those who are full. At the same time, the speed at hand is also getting slower and slower. Grab a piece of meat. Kaido blinked, trying to stuff it into his mouth. But suddenly it felt like a nausea. I almost spit out what I just ate. He glanced at Shinzi, who was still in a turmoil. Kaido couldn't help being startled. This is by Nima. I feel that I can't beat Shinzi if I eat it. Kaido rolled his eyes. Think of a way. Since we can't eat well, let's drink. HMPH. What's the big deal if you can eat? There are skills better than drinking. Say it. Throw the piece of meat in your hand on the table. A man who can drink is a real man. Kaido didn't believe it. On eating, Shinzi is so fierce. In terms of drinking, can you still drink yourself? Hear this. Shinzi, who was still eating, was taken aback. This seems like a good proposition. I just ate so much and felt thirsty. Okay, bring the wine. Shinzi also stopped eating and said loudly. At this moment, Shinzi felt that he was about 60% full. Drink some wine, eat some more, and you're good to go. Hear this. The onlookers all cheered. Anyone can eat. But drinking is not for everyone. This is not bigger than anyone else's belly. It's about drinking better than anyone else. Soon, 2 barrels of spirits with the aroma of wine were brought up. Also, there are also 2 large bowls. 1 bucket per person, 1 bowl per person. However, Kaido just ignored the bowl. He picked up the barrel and drank tons and tons. Compared to Kaido, Shinzi is much more elegant. Without the urging of horrible hunger, Shinzi slowly poured out the wine from the barrel, and drank bowl after bowl. In a lively restaurant, immediately, booze, the rocks, inside a cabin. 3 old friends Akoku, John, and Silver Axe are discussing the previous battle between Golden Lion and Shinzi. Everyone's face is beaming. He boasted that if he met Shinzi at that time, he would definitely not be as embarrassed as Golden Lion. Just when Akoku was talking excitedly, suddenly there was a knock on the door. Open the door and have a look. A crew member of Akoku's squadron is standing outside. What's the matter? Akoku regained his usual majesty, frowned, and asked coldly. Captain, where is Shinzi playing against Kaido? The crew member was so excited that he didn't even notice Akoku's sudden change of expression. What? Shinzi and Kaido? Before Akoku could speak, John behind him spoke first. Then he thought about it and continued. With Kaido's strength, is he worthy of fighting Shinzi? It's not a competition of strength. The two of them are currently comparing alcohol in a restaurant and they just finished eating. Good guy, that scene, it's like I've never eaten anything in my life. Before the crew member could finish speaking, the 3 of them pulled him aside and hurried over there. At the same time, at Charlotte Linlin's, Captain Linlin, the restaurant is very busy now, and a game is in progress. What's so interesting about the competition in that place? What a fuss. Chin-Z and Kaido are comparing drinks. Just heard Chin-Z's name. Whoosh, Charlotte and Linlin quickly disappeared from the room. Same scene also happens in other captains' rooms. For a while, all the captains rushed towards the direction of the restaurant. At this time, in the restaurant, under the temptation of the aroma of wine, some of the onlookers couldn't bear it anymore, looking at Kaido and Chin-Z who were drinking wildly on the court. They all brought wine from the kitchen, drank with them. For a while, everyone in the restaurant was infected. The sound of punching, clashing, shouting, cheering. Endlessly. A group of captains who came. Seeing such a scene, they were all stunned. What's the situation with this Nima? How about a banquet? When seeing Chin-Z and Kaido, even more dumbfounded. There are too many pots and wine barrels in front of the table for the two of them to fit. Tableware with food is placed on the ground. Shocking. This must be how much you eat. Even more terrifying. The two showed no signs of stopping. Chin-Z was still pouring wine bowl by bowl. And Kaido is shaking his head, holding a wooden barrel, drinking and dancing there. Eyes blurred, already drunk. Gu la la la, Chin-Z, why don't you call me when you're drinking? Come on, Kaido is dead, I'll drink with you. After speaking, he brought a few barrels of wine from the back kitchen. Sitting next to Chin-Z, he drank heavily. Seeing this, several other captains joined in one after another. He raised his wine glass. Throat once. At this time, Charlotte Linlin who rushed over here, her eyes lit up after seeing Chin-Z. A brisk walk passed, squeezed directly between Chin-Z and Whitebeard. After the captains saw this scene, they all held back their laughter. Prepare to see how Chin-Z responds. Chin-Z, how about being my man? Linlin got straight to the point, without any obtrusiveness, and said straight to the point. Chin-Z just took a sip of wine. Hear this. It was a sip of wine that was sprayed out. There is a shock on my body. I treat you as an ant, but you treat me as an object. This is impossible. Forget it. It's impossible. Chin-Z refused without thinking about it. Then he thought of something, changed the subject, pointed to Kaido who was still drunk, and said, I think the Kaido over there is good, why don't you try it? Chin-Z asked tentatively, although it was a flash of inspiration. This is Chin-Z's sincere words, regardless of the two people's body shape, strength, and future achievements. Those are a match made in heaven. If you need the future four emperors into a pair, the sense of accomplishment will be directly filled. No, Linlin wants Chin-Z. With a hint of crying, Linlin started yelling. I want Chin-Z, I want Chin-Z. Charlotte Linlin's state gradually lost control, with violence and madness in her eyes. The sound is getting louder. Knowing that she had cravings, Chin-Z couldn't help being taken aback. Oh shit, is this treating me like a dessert? It's so annoying. No more nonsense, Chin-Z's fists are armed with colors. Take a look at Whitebeard. The other party immediately understood the meaning. One left and one right punched at the same time, but they didn't hold back. Whitebeard was afraid that he was not strong enough, so he used the shock fruit ability. Boom. The world fell silent as Charlotte Linlin fell to the ground. The noise of the restaurant seems to be the sound of nature. Nice job. All the cadres gave Chin-Z a thumbs up at the same time. Come a few people and carry her down, let's continue drinking. Chin-Z raised the big bowl and didn't feel uncomfortable at all because of the operation just now. After ordering a few people to take the ant down, they continued to drink with everyone. At this time, Rox in the room frowned. He has been paying attention to the situation in the restaurant through observation hockey. After seeing Chin-Z eat so much and drink so much, and after the injuries on his body healed, he was surprised. Then I saw Chin-Z hit Charlotte and Linlin directly. I couldn't help being shocked. If he is called a monster because of his strength, then Chin-Z truly interprets the word monster. The competition in the restaurant was over when Kaido fell. In the restaurant at this time, no one is paying attention to the outcome of this game. Under the leadership of Chin-Z and Kaido, an easy meal. It has turned into a banquet. Under the sound of the waves and the night. Laughter one after another. The next day, on board the Rocks. The rest of the banquet is not over yet. In the Rocks pirate group, the pirates have another piece of talk. Captain Chin-Z is not only powerful, but also has an amazing appetite. In the hearts of these pirates, their status has risen to another level. This also officially gained a nickname, Monster. But compared to the joy of these pirates, one client was not so happy. After being drunk, Kaido was carried back. And when he woke up, he found that the sun outside was almost setting. Touched his stomach, Kaido realized that he had lost completely. Because Kaido's memory only stays at the moment of drinking with Chin-Z, and he doesn't know anything about what happened afterwards. But what is certain is that Kaido was still drinking before he fell to the ground. In fact, after Chin-Z drank Kaido down, and Whitebeard et al. Drank for a while longer. Until finally the whole restaurant was laid down. Chin-Z felt bored and stopped. Kaido thought that not only was he inferior to Chin-Z in strength, but he had lost so thoroughly in eating and drinking that he was always proud of. Involuntary anger burned in my heart. With a bang, he punched the wall. The 4 characters of incompetence and roar are vividly displayed. Dusk hour. Chin-Z was sitting on top of the flagpole of the rocks, admiring the sunset while blowing the sea breeze. The top of the flagpole has always been Chin-Z's exclusive seat. Almost every day at this moment, Chin-Z, who has nothing to do, would enjoy the sunset. At the end of the banquet yesterday, Chin-Z discovered the change in himself. The wounds left by the Golden Lion's attack had all healed after that night. No marks could be seen on the bronzed skin. It is not difficult to imagine that this must be the effect of eating yesterday. And this is what surprised Chin-Z. I didn't expect Saitama's physique to have this function. After an injury, continuous eating can actually make the wound heal quickly. No wonder so edible, reminiscent of the particularity of meat products and plants in One Piece world. Seems reasonable too. Moreover, a strong physique and intense consumption must be offset by the same amount of food. Just as Chin-Z was looking at the scenery. At some point, Whitebeard sat next to him. The scenery here is really good, no wonder you come here every day. Whitebeard looked at the huge setting sun, its fiery red light shining on the sea. It's like a sprinkling of light. Ha ha ha. Chin-Z laughed when he heard this. If you like it, you can come up and watch it every day. Gu la la la. Let's forget it then. Whitebeard's trademark laugh vetoed the offer. I didn't expect that you can not only eat, but also drink like this. I always thought you were similar to me. Ha ha ha. Do you want to know why? Chin-Z blinked, mouth raised, and smiled at Kaido. Looking back at the setting sun, he turned to Whitebeard. Oh, tell me quickly. Hearing this, Whitebeard was taken aback. Whitebeard has no interest in other people's secrets. But I am very curious about Chin-Z's, 1,000 cups never pour. Immediately, he moved his ears to Chin-Z's face, afraid that he might miss something. Because I'm a monster. Ha 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 ha. Chin-Z paused, pondered for a moment and said, then laughed out loud. Hear this. Whitebeard knew that Chin-Z was playing tricks on himself. A fist the size of a sandbag hit it. But falling on Chin-Z was just a light touch. Looking at Whitebeard, Chin-Z smiled. Only to find that Whitebeard has a sad face at this time. The usual boldness is gone. It seemed that something was on his mind. Chin-Z spoke slowly. What's the matter? Tell me what's the matter. Whitebeard was silent for a moment, then finally spoke. Chin-Z, I originally thought that after joining the Rocks Pirates, I would be able to have my own family, but the friendship of the people on this ship is worthless in front of them. Don't talk about family. In the Rocks Pirates, there is no even the most basic friendship. Because of a little treasure, or a little conflict, these people can fight and bring others to death. On the surface it appears to be in a pirate group. But it's all just superficial. Chin-Z, like Whitebeard, cannot find a sense of belonging on this ship. Whitebeard, who spoke his mind, felt a lot easier. Actually, if I had known in advance that this would be the case on the ship, I wouldn't have boarded the ship at the beginning. I don't know how long this road will take. Almost. Chin-Z thought of the ending of the Rocks Pirates in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. Whitebeard has since formed his own pirate group. That's what he really wanted. Gu la la la. Who knows? Whitebeard laughed loudly and patted Chin-Z on the shoulder. Sudden, Chin-Z stood up and punched Whitebeard's arm. Laughed and cursed. Don't worry, there is still me on this road. After understanding Chin Zi's subtext, Whitebeard smiled knowingly. With friends by his side, he is not alone. On this boat, Chin Zi is the only friend Whitebeard thinks he can really make friends with. Gu la la la. Then you have to follow me closely on this road, don't fall. What are you talking about? I'm obviously the one walking ahead, so you should hurry up. Then Bibi, let's see who walks faster. Whitebeard stretched out his fist to Chin Zi, and Chin Zi also stretched out his fist. In the afterglow of the setting sun, the two fists clashed together. It's a deal. Life at sea is spent every day, in repeated days. This day, the sun is shining and everything is as usual. There was a sudden sound of running, breaking the calm, but it disappeared quickly. Inside Whitebeard's room, at this moment he was sitting on a huge chair. Chin Zi sat beside him. Is Charlotte Linlin that scary? Whitebeard glanced at Chin Zi, and said straight to the point. A few minutes ago, Chin Zi was trying to avoid Linlin's entanglement. Escape on the Rock's pirate ship. After getting rid of Linlin, he didn't dare to go back to his room. Head straight to Whitebeard and here you go. For Chin Zi, who is powerful and has always been called a monster. He was actually chased by a team leader. Whitebeard expressed his incomprehension. Stop talking, you almost put me on the bed. Chin Zi looked rather embarrassed, and said out of breath. It's not from being tired. I was scared out of it. Originally, Chin Zi was sleeping soundly in the room. Suddenly woke up by the sound of footsteps. Open your eyes and take a look. Good guy. Charlotte Linlin was in her room, looking straight at herself. Thinking from the lower part of her body, Chin Zi knew what she was going to do next. Thanks to Chin Zi's skill and strength. In the struggle, he rushed out of the door and slipped away like a fly. I don't think Linlin looks bad, he needs a figure with a figure and a face with a face. I said, you don't like men, do you? Whitebeard's voice became smaller and smaller, lowering his voice for fear of being heard by others. There was an inexplicable smile on his face. I, Chin Zi, am an upright straight man. Chin Zi cursed, and quickly opened his mouth to speak. If this is the original book, Robin, Nami, the kind of empress. You have to use force, Chin Zi is not at your mercy. But Aunt, Chin Zi was really overwhelmed. Hearing Chin Zi's indignant words, Whitebeard laughed. A look of disbelief. It's okay, only the two of us know about this. As brothers, we will keep this matter a secret for you. Save your ass. I really don't have that hobby. Chin Zi was speechless for Whitebeard's expression. Unexpectedly, this Whitebeard with thick eyebrows and big eyes would actually think in that direction. In this kind of matter, Chin Zi can't be sloppy. Otherwise, if it is really considered to have a special habit, if this is spread. There are so many muscular men on the rocks, who knows how many gays there are. Can imagine, if the rumors are really heard by these people. Chin Zi is always stared at by a group of people when he walks. Thinking about it, Chin Zi felt the cold air rushing from the toes to the sky. Edward, is there any romantic place in this area? For the sake of my reputation, I need to find a few girls who have lost their feet and take good care of them. Chin Zi didn't explain any more, he wanted to prove that he was a person with normal personality orientation. Only actual actions can be used to testify. And do so. Not only does it keep the rocks away from Charlotte Linlin, you can also have a taste of the customs of the pirate world, and see if the girls here have something special. This idea is killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Gu la la la. Of course, there is a place not far from our rock's route. There this business flourishes. Whitebeard smiled, seemingly experienced Kaido. Oh, tell me and listen. Chin Zi was aroused by these words and hurriedly asked. After Whitebeard's description, Chin Zi had a certain understanding of the location and customs of this place. In fact, it is a place similar to a brothel. If you have money, you can do whatever you want in it. After Whitebeard said that, he didn't continue on that topic. Changing the subject, he paused. Well, Chin Zi, you're also a team leader now. Don't you think about building your own team? Hearing this, Chin Zi was taken aback. It seems that I have never thought about this problem before, it seems that salted fish are used to it. In the Rocks Pirates, each captain can form his own faction. The purpose is to use the influence of the captain to expand the strength of the pirate group. By the way, teach these team members to improve the overall level. Since Shinzi became the captain, he has never managed his team well. The last time I selected players was when I just became the captain. I chose some, and the 10 or so people who flattered me the loudest. This also led to Shinzi's team strength being the worst among all the teams. The number of people is not only pitifully small, but also the strength is uneven. Compared to other teams, almost all of them were pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. It's just not enough to watch. Indeed, I haven't thought about it before. You just reminded me. It's time to plan the expansion of the team. Shinzi said slowly, very much agree with Whitebeard's proposal. A good team can not only get more treasures in the future. More importantly, you can minimize the number of shots you take. You can't do it yourself every time someone provokes you. Then what the captain did is so boring. Hearing this, his eyes brightened. Yup, why didn't I know how to make good use of it before? With strong players, can't I just paddle in an upright manner? It's not too easy to assign some things directly to these players. You were right, so do you have the right candidate? Whitebeard asked. There is Kaido. The first thing Shinzi thought of was the future 4 emperors Kaido. In terms of strength and potential, he is undoubtedly the best candidate for the Rocks Pirates. Kaido, he's not that easy to tame. After Whitebeard heard Shinzi's words, his eyes moved slightly. Kaido's goal has always been to be the captain. One can imagine the difficulty in getting him into the group. Ha ha ha, it's all about human effort. Shinzi laughed out loud and patted Whitebeard on the shoulder. Said confidently, how is it? What is Captain Shinzi doing recently? I didn't do anything special, just eat and drink as usual. Chatted with some captains, then ran out of the room in a panic. Run away without a trace. The first to speak was trainee crew member Kaido. After failing in the last competition, he thought of a way. With some treasure, hire a crew member on the ship. Go to inquire about Shinzi's news, and then report to yourself. The purpose of doing so is keep abreast of Shinzi's dynamics in real time so that you can better surpass him in the future. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you be victorious in every battle. What are you going to eat with the money? What a useless thing. There is no valuable information at all. Kaido looked at the crew members standing outside the door with a fierce look on his face. Seeing this, the other party was so frightened that his legs were shaking. If it wasn't for gambling and losing all his money, he would still be in debt. He doesn't want to be an errand for Kaido. This Captain Shinzi does these things every day. I can't help it. The crew also wanted to explain a few words for themselves. Kaido listened and interrupted him directly. Forget it, get out. Said impatiently, then waved his hand, motioning for him to get out of here. That money, the crew member faltered and said in a low voice with a bitter look on his face. Go away. Kaido took out a small bag of money from his waist and threw it to the person opposite. After taking the money, the crew member ran away like flying. Fearing that Kaido would repent directly in the next second, he not only refused to pay. I also need to beat him to death with a stick. At this time, not far away, Shinzi smiled with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. After leaving Whitebeard, Shinzi came to Kaido. Under observation Haki. Everything that happens to Kaido and the crew is under his watch. Unexpectedly, Kaido gave money, which Shinzi did not expect. In the original book, Kaido is not so easy to talk to. Pay back the money. It is already benevolent without a stick being knocked on it. It seems that Kaido's character when he was young is very different from that of 40 years later. Right, 40 years. Enough to change a person. This also aroused Shinzi's interest, under his own leadership. 40 years later, what will Mr. Guy be like? After dismissing the crew, Kaido was about to close the door and go back to his room. At this time, he saw a person approaching in the distance. Black hair and black eyes, wearing a captain's uniform from the logistics. Shinzi. Immediately, Kaido was shocked. The speed of closing the door has been accelerated a lot. However, next moment, Shinzi, who was just strolling over in the courtyard, standing directly in front of Kaido. A hand rests on the door. One hand in his trouser pocket. No matter how hard Kaido tried, the door wouldn't budge. Yo, Kaido, you've been paying attention to me these days. Now that I'm here, don't you give me a warm welcome? Shinzi raised his eyebrows, and his tone was relaxed, like a gentle breeze blowing in the air. But heard it in Kaido's ears. It's a completely different scene. No, I still have something to do. Please go back. Kaido is very concerned about Shinzi's recent movements, but it doesn't mean he wants to see Shinzi. Although his goal has always been to surpass Shinzi. But the first match was defeated by Shinzi, to the match between Shinzi and Golden Lion, and then to the last match. Kaido has some psychological shadows in his heart. Before the strength is not enough to defeat Shinzi, Kaido does not want to meet Shinzi at all. After all, you can't fight and fight, you can't eat and eat, you can't drink and drink. Crushed in all directions. Even if not, you still have to invite me in for a sit down. I'm a captain after all. After speaking, regardless of Kaido's agreement or not, he directly stretched his arms and pulled the door open. Seeing this, Kaido knew that he couldn't beat Shinzi. He didn't bother to stop it. Shinzi entered the room. I looked around and looked around. The first thing that comes in is some huge gym equipment. No way, it's too eye-catching. By visual estimation, each one weighs several tons. Judging by the traces of use from smooth to shiny on the top. Kaido does not exercise less every day. In addition to the exercise equipment, there is also a huge stone bed. Kaido's weapon, the mace, lay beside the bed. Several wooden treasure chests are placed in one corner. It should contain the treasure that Kaido looted over the years. The layout of the whole room is extremely simple. Shinzi found a random place and sat down. Said unhurriedly. Kaido, you seem to have a big opinion on me. Heard the words. Kaido had a complicated expression on his face, looked at Shinzi, and kept silent. At this time, it is definitely not possible to say yes, and it is also impossible to say no. Because of the conversation just now, Shinzi must have heard it. So we can only keep silent. They're all from the same pirate group. If you have any opinion on me, just put it forward, and I will teach you how to change it. If it doesn't work, let's fight. If you are not convinced, put it in your fist. After Shinzi finished speaking, he clenched his fists and gestured in the air a few times. When Kaido on the opposite side heard this, his eyes twitched, and he thought to himself. Hit Nima, fighting with you now, isn't that unilateral seeking abuse? Still no reply. Shinzi looked at the boring gourd and frowned. I secretly said in my heart. What the hell, the mouth is only for cooking. It seems that it is impossible to deal with this guy softly. Then use hard. Ever since. In Kaido's stinky face that others owe him 2.58 million. Shinzi beat him up again. Tomorrow, go out with me, and I will take you to be happy. If you don't go, see you later and hit me once. After leaving these two sentences, Shinzi left. In the room, only Kaido, who was flattened, was left alone in the corner. Chapter 31. Next morning, the rocks sailed into a whole new territory. From what Whitebeard said, get into the zone. It means that it is not far from that area. So, Shinzi brought Kaido with a face of reluctance. I want to go out and play. Talk to Captain Rocks and get his consent. I brought a small boat, some food, and a record guide for identifying directions from the logistics. With Whitebeard farewell, Shinzi and Kaido boarded the boat of friendship and rushed forward. The blue sea, the clear sky and the weather. Shinzi felt the sea breeze blowing on his face. Been in this world for so long. This is the first time Shinzi has gone to sea by himself. It's completely different from being on the Rocks pirate ship. Free, relaxed, brisk. The speed of the boat on the water was very fast. Looking from a distance, one could see rows of white water splashes continuously spreading out. The power of this small boat does not use machinery. Power is entirely by hand. After all, there is such a talent as Kaido. Manual can be much faster than mechanical. Glancing at Kaido, who was playing the paddle role, Shinzi whispered. Hurry up, what's the use of being so big? Heard the words. Kaido, who was paddling, really wanted to smash the wooden oar over. Since getting on the boat, Shinzi has been sitting on the bow of the boat leisurely watching the scenery. I never did rowing. Kaido is the exact opposite. I was exhausted all the way, and now I have to be lectured by Shinzi. But even though he was very angry in his heart, the movements of Kaido's hands still accelerated a lot. No way, people have to bow their heads under the eaves. With the efforts of Kaido. The already fast boat seems to have added a propeller, like an arrow off the string. Its speed on the water is incredible. Kaido has a strong physique. Even if it can't compare to Shinzi, it is still second to none in this era. This is just normal operation. Yes, not bad. I saw that the speed of the boat was much faster. Holding the recording guide in his hand, Shinzi nodded and said, according to this speed, it should take half a day to arrive. After speaking, the topic changed. Kaido, do you know why I brought you here? The sea breeze blew on Shinzi's face and clothes, rustling. In the strong wind, Shinzi's voice couldn't help but intensify. In order to bring me here as a coolie. Rarely, Kaido actually answered Shinzi this time. But Shinzi choked when he opened his mouth. Hearing this, Shinzi couldn't help rolling his eyes. Staying on the boat every day, don't you feel bored? I took you to see beautiful women on purpose. Heard the words. The speed of Kaido's paddling slowed down involuntarily, and his eyes lit up when he heard the word, beauty. Real. As a 19-year-old boy, Kaido is in the period of male hormones. It is natural to have a certain yearning for the opposite gender. I was on the ship before, because it was a pirate group. So there are relatively few girls, and most of them are more powerful than boys, and they are all crooked. It is really unsightly. You would be so kind. Although Shinzi's words are very attractive, Kaido thinks they are not reliable. Asked some doubts. Of course, you'll know when you get there. It's time to be more restrained. Don't lose your boat when you come back. Shinzi gave Kaido a sweet treat and didn't say any more. Only in this way, human curiosity can be drawn out infinitely. Really, hearing what Shinzi said, although Kaido still had some doubts. But the speed of paddling in his hands has accelerated a little. At the same time, on board the Rock's pirate ship, Whitebeard stood beside the boat, staring at the sea in a daze. At this time, a voice suddenly appeared. Edward, where did Shinzi and Kaido go? The speaker had long blonde hair and was smoking a cigar. It is the Golden Lion. Gu la la la. Golden Lion, you are alive again. Since the last time he fought with Shinzi and lost. Golden Lion rarely appears in the public eye. This time, after knowing that Shinzi left by boat. So he jumped out immediately and asked. HMPH. The room is too stuffy, come out and get some air. Heard the words. Whitebeard knew that his pride had been hit before, and he didn't bother to mock him anymore. Take out a map from your pocket and answer Golden Lion's last question. Pointing to a place above and saying, go here and be chic. Hearing this, Golden Lion became interested. Immediately came over and looked at the location on the map. Frowning, said, why are you going here? What's so chic here? Gu la la la. You don't know. This is a good place, but a man's paradise. Whitebeard said with a smile. When was the last time you were here? Golden Lion asked tentatively with question marks all over his face. About 6 years ago. That scene is still fresh in my memory. Heard the words. Golden Lion was silent for a while. Immediately, there was a burst of wild laughter. Hihahaha. This place is not what it used to be. After being cleaned up by Marine before. Let's not talk about beautiful women now, it's just that there is no hair on anyone. Shinzi is going to the wilderness to survive, jihahahaha. Golden Lion held his belly, his whole body trembling from laughing, and his cigar fell to the ground. And Shiki's words fell into Whitebeard's ears. Just let him petrify on the spot. Seeing Whitebeard like this, Golden Lion laughed even louder. Even the sea breeze that blows melts into the laughter. On the sea as calm as a bronze mirror. The golden sun shone brightly on the sea. A gust of sea breeze blows from time to time, with a fishy and salty taste. A lone boat is docked beside a piece of coastline. At this time, 2 people ran out from the shore. One has an exaggerated body shape, with knotted muscles and 2 horns on the top of the head, and the other has a well-proportioned figure, black hair and black pupils. It was Shinzi and Kaido. However, the 2 of them are quite embarrassed now. His body was all jiangshishi, and his complexion was extremely ugly. Thinking back to the time when they first landed, both of them were filled with excitement and apprehension. Thinking of the beauty next to her, she unconsciously quickened her pace a lot. But, after careful inspection by the 2 of them, let alone beauties in this place, you can't even find a person who is out of breath. Surrounded by destroyed buildings, it was barren. Only the crawling plants are telling the past here. Ever since seeing this scene, the two passionate teenagers felt as if they had been poured a basin of cold water. The light in his eyes suddenly lost. Shinzi, is this the beauty you mentioned like a cloud? Kaido felt like a clown. Being manipulated by Shinzi like this. Even at the risk of being beaten up by Shinzi, Kaido also questioned Shinzi at this time. How do I know? I also want to ask. What kind of place is this? Let alone Kaido, Shinzi's mentality has collapsed. Along the way, I was full of expectations. I thought that I would have to experience the sophistication of the world here for myself. It's good now, the favor is gone, only accidents remain. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Recalling what Whitebeard said, Shinzi took out the recording guide and looked at it again. The location is right, that's what Whitebeard said. How did that happen? As Whitebeard is, he certainly wouldn't lie to himself. That leaves only one possibility, that it might really be what Whitebeard said. But now times have passed and things are no longer what they used to be. It's really bad luck. Forget it, let's get on the boat first. Back to the rocks. Shinzi sighed, now he can only go back and talk, there is nothing here. But fortunately, I brought some food, otherwise there would be nothing to eat. Kaido didn't bother to complain after hearing this. Go back to the boat and take the food Shinzi handed over. He took a big bite. It seems that he is venting his inner grievances to the food. This return trip, under Kaido's strong request, and Shinzi knew he was wrong. The two took turns rowing. Shinzi in the first half and Kaido in the second half. According to the route of rocks and the record guide, Shinzi quickly rowed there. Compared with Kaido, the speed is only fast but not slow. If it weren't for the fear that the ship would not be able to bear it, Shinzi could go even faster. At the same time, on a piece of sea not far away, a luxury cruise ship with a height of tens of meters is slowly advancing. The entire cruise ship is extremely large. There are 14 floors in total. Every floor is hung with all kinds of luxury items. Pearls, emeralds, gemstones, and some highly collectible works of art. Take out any of the above things and sell them off. This is enough to cover the lifetime expenses of an ordinary family. And the top floor is even more resplendent. In the sunshine. Shining golden light. It was made of pure gold. On the flagpole, a red, dragon's hoof, imprint is engraved on a white flag. 3 triangles on top, a circle in the middle, and a triangle on the bottom. This is a signature unique to celestial dragons. This ship is the Celestial Dragon's luxury cruise ship transporting heavenly gold. Deck. A group of Marines in sailor suits stood there, all of them with solemn expressions, ready to fight. Holding the musket in his hand, he was always alert to the surrounding situation. Because the whole process is tense. There is a layer of sweat on the forehead. In normal times, they wouldn't be like this. But this time, there's a celestial dragons on board a cruise ship transporting the heavenly gold. In the name of inspection, play in various countries. Celestial dragons. This is the nobles of the world who are above the law. If something goes wrong with them, one person on board will count as one. Neither ended well. The lightest punishment may be marked with the unique, dragon's hoof, mark. Then sent to the land of the storm. Continuing day and night to build the nation on the bridge, Tequila Wolf. That's why Marines are so nervous. And in the middle of the deck, a man with a square glass cover looks extremely conspicuous. Haircut, with an ugly pumpkin face. Sitting on a huge slave. He also holds a deluxe version of the musket in his hand. He is the nobleman of the world that makes all Marines so nervous. Celestial dragons. Charmako. There are several people standing in front of him, which are the targets for him to practice marksmanship. They are all civilians randomly captured from those countries. Pick up your musket, take aim, and get ready to shoot. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, a dark shadow in the distance entered his field of vision. Charmarko frowned. Putting down the gun, the servant behind him took the binoculars wisely. Charmarko's eyes were attached to the telescope. I see. In the circular lens field of view, a small boat is moving fast. A young man above is rowing a boat, and another is sitting on the boat watching the scenery. So fast. How dare you ignore my celestial dragons? Charmarko squeezed his throat. The words spoken were extremely harsh. Give me full speed. Kill those two people. The voice just fell. Several elderly Marines at the helm ordered to speed up without any hesitation. These are celestial dragons. Who would dare to disobey their orders? Then, the luxury cruise immediately picked up speed. He was not slow at all with the boat. He rushed straight towards the boat. It can be seen how top power configuration this boat has. And aside, a Marine Vice Admiral Zati put away the latest reward order in his hand. Use binoculars to look at the boat in the distance. Sudden, his expression froze. Taking a closer look, he opened the reward order that had just been put away. He looked at the two young men again. Heart terrified. Quick, stop the boat. Hear she tis shout. Charmarco's face was gloomy. Who do you think you are? Say one more word, I'll kill you with one shot. The tone of speech is extremely arrogant. He didn't take this Marine Vice Admiral seriously. He is Celestial Dragons. Not to mention the Vice Admiral of this branch, even the Admiral of the headquarters is the same. They are nothing more than watchdogs for the Celestial Dragons. Obviously, Marines know this too, so I didn't listen to Vice Admiral's suggestion at all, and continued to speed up and rush over. See this scene. Zati's face was extremely ugly. It would be fine if the other party was any other ordinary person. It can only be said that their fate is not good. Got hit by celestial dragons. But these two people are pirates wanted by Marine. Kaido, a bounty of 500 million Baileys is offered. Chinzi, a reward of 700 million Baileys is offered. Both are members of the Rocks Pirates. To know. This pirate group is not like other forces. Seeing the celestial dragons is far from intimidating. And will kill without mercy. At this time, Zati only felt a dilemma. Heart full of despair. See Shidi's expression. Charmarco patted the slave's head on the bottom. Come before him, said in a tone full of contempt. There's nothing to be afraid of the two of you. What a waste. You are also worthy to protect me. After speaking, Charmarco stood up and kicked Zati. And the other party didn't dare to hide at all. A Marine Vice Admiral was humiliated in public. But none of the people present responded. Although all the young Marine soldiers felt humiliated. But can only endure. No way. The person in front of him is the nobleman of the world, Celestial Dragons. Marine's duty is to protect these Celestial Dragons who claim to be descendants of gods. At the same time, Zati who was kicked. Immediately, I felt my brain go blank. Celestial Dragons, Chinzi. He can't afford to provoke him anywhere. He could only clenched his fists tightly, trying to restrain the anger in his heart. Reminds me of my dream of being a Marine and protecting people's property since I was a child. Think of the code of justice that I wear on my body. For a moment, Zati unexpectedly raised the idea of resistance. But when he looked up, he saw Charmarco's wrinkled face. See the Celestial Dragon's flag flying from the towering flagpole. Think of your bright future. I thought of my wife who was still at home. After all, he could only bow his head and endure silently. But Charmarco on the opposite side. The moment Zati raised his head, he felt a hint of resistance in him. A weird smile appeared on his face. He beckoned to the back. Next second, 3 mysterious people appeared beside them. No one saw clearly how these few people appeared. White suit with white tie. With a weird mask on his face. It looks mysterious. CP0. A trace of horror flashed across Zati's face. Protecting the Celestial Dragons on board for so long. They didn't even realize that there was CP0 on this ship. And there are still 3. CPO. An institution belonging only to Celestial Dragons. The strength of the members is extremely strong. Its members are at least as strong as Rear Admiral, and the captain among them is even as strong as Admiral of Headquarters. Known as, the strongest shield of Celestial Dragons. And, the strongest intelligence agency in the world. A personal bodyguard that belongs only to Celestial Dragons. Staring at Zati in front of him. The eyes of the 3 CP0s turned cold. Not a word was said. Next moment, the figures of the 3 disappeared from the spot. Several strong winds blew. I see. Tis sighed. 3 people appeared at the same time. The 2 clamped his arms tightly. One person's fist pierced directly through Shita's chest. Blood dripped down Marine's uniform. Zati clutched her pierced chest. Spit out a mouthful of blood. He looked in shock at Charmarco, whose eyes were filled with disgust. Why? He wanted to ask why. But before the words were finished, the tall body fell straight down. Boom! The body hit the deck with a muffled sound. Watching this scene, the face of Marine next to him turned pale, and his eyes were fixed on the three mysterious people. The body trembled uncontrollably, and those three CP0s completely ignored the Marine's gazes. Judging by their grim demeanor, killing a Marine branch vice admiral is like swaddling a fly. No mood swings. This is CP0, gatekeeper of the Celestial Dragons. There is only one duty. That is keeping the Celestial Dragons safe. No matter what bottomless things they do. Be on their side. No matter what the identity of the other party is. Whether it is noble or marine, it is the king of other countries. If it goes against the will of the Celestial Dragons, they will kill them mercilessly. HMPH. Despicable waste. Clean him up. Charmarco pinched his nose, as if he hated the smell of blood very much. Heard the words. The three CP0 looked around at Marine. Its meaning is self-evident. The legs of Marine who were swept by the sight were trembling. The anger just disappeared completely. The sense of oppression given by these three people is too strong. Marine Vice Admiral was killed in seconds. If they were to be killed, it would not be as simple as crushing ants. Soon, among those who were swept, they even crawled to the corpse and dragged their leader's corpse away. The blood-stained coat of justice is used as a rag. Several Marines frantically wiped the blood on the ground. See this scene. Charmarco laughed out loud. Then he looked towards the sea again. The distance between the luxury liner and the small ship is getting closer. Quick, speed up, bump them to death. On the boat. Chin-Z stopped paddling. Under the action of inertia, the boat slowly tends to stand still. Stand up, looking at the luxury cruise ship heading straight towards him at full speed. Smiled. The big one is coming. There was no trace of fear in his tone, but a hint of excitement. He had discovered the existence of this luxury cruise ship long ago, and knew that this ship was a gold transport ship that transported gold from the sky. After all, in this boundless sea, it is difficult not to find it. During the previous raid on the Marine branch, Rox mentioned that the Celestial Dragons were patrolling a country during the captain's meeting. It should be the luxury cruise ship in front of me. I didn't expect so many days to pass. This stupid pig is still wandering around in the sea. It can be seen that he went to more than one country and confiscated wealth in multiple countries. This time I was met by myself. Of course I wanted to go up and do it. After all, if you don't kill a Celestial Dragons, how can you be worthy of coming to this world? Originally, Chin-Z wanted to play with them again at sea. Unexpectedly, the Celestial Dragons accelerated and collided directly. Then Chin-Z didn't bother to paddle anymore. Chin-Z, turn around quickly. This ship is about to crash. Seeing Chin-Z next to him, Kaido suddenly put down the wooden pulp. Look at the luxury cruise ship roaring in front of you. Shouted anxiously. He wasn't afraid of the Celestial Dragons, but of the colossal ship. Such a large cruise ship is coming at such a terrifying speed, if it hits. The result speaks for itself. At the same time, on the deck of the cruise ship, Charma could see that he was about to crash. Pervert laughed. Ha ha ha. Crush them. Despicable inferior people. Waste. After shaking the iron chain in his hand, the slave under him understood the meaning. Climb to the top of the deck. The huge chains made harsh friction sounds on the ground. He wanted to see these two scumbags being smashed to pieces by the cruise ship. Beside, the three CP0s stood aside respectfully. Always maintain the same distance from Charmarco. But suddenly, the eyes of the three people changed, and the changes in their eyes could be seen through the masks. Chin-Z, Kaido, CP0, not only the strongest shield, but also the strongest intelligence agency in the world. For this object who has just been focused on by the world government. Of course I do. Once killed a Marine branch vice admiral with one punch. And as the captain of the Rox Pirates. Is classified as extremely dangerous. Next to Kaido, strength should not be underestimated. Chin-Z, Kaido, what? Charmarco said a little impatiently. In his eyes, anyone but the Celestial Dragons is just lowly trash. There was no convergence due to the change in CP0's tone. It is CP0 who always protects his safety. If something makes him unhappy, he can kill him. My lord, Kaido is a big pirate with a reward of 500 million, and Shinzi has a reward of 700 million. We are not sure of victory. Please move. We will immediately call the Holy Land, Mariajoy, to ensure your safety. ACP-0 said respectfully. Waste. You, like those Marines, are all food-wasting idiots. Hearing that CP0 actually wants to let himself escape, Charmarco yelled at him with fury on his face. The deluxe musket in his hand was about to hold that CP0's head. At the same time, the three CPOs exchanged glances. Make a decision in an instant. One person transfers the adults away first. The other two cut back, blocking Chin and Kaido. Because they are ordinary members of the CP0 department, their strength is only comparable to the headquarters rear admiral. There is no absolute certainty of winning against the two people on the boat. So the first priority is to keep the celestial dragons safe. As for what celestial dragons will do with them when they go back, they don't think, and don't think. This is CP0. A group of dead soldiers who have been brainwashed since childhood. But after all, they underestimated Shinzi's strength. When the cruise ship is about to hit the boat, boom! A loud noise came from the position of the head of the cruise ship. It was like a bomb had been detonated ahead. The boat below suddenly splashed sawdust. It was directly knocked out tens of meters away. Charma is visible. A pervert smile appeared on his face. However, the next second, his smile froze. Because of Shinzi and Kaido. I don't know when, I have already stood in front of myself. Turn out to be, when the cruise ship was about to hit the boat. Under Kaido's frightened expression, Shinzi jumped up, pulled Kaido up and jumped up. Originally, Shinzi wanted to smash the cruise ship to a halt. But thinking about it like that would do a lot of damage to the cruise ship. If that's the case, how can I go back on this boat afterwards? So temporarily change the strategy. At this time, see Shinzi and Kaido. The three CP0s stopped the implementation of the plan just now, and all of them felt like they were facing a big enemy. Why are you so nervous? We don't have any malicious intentions, we just want to take a ride with the wind. While speaking, Shinzi looked at the sawdust floating on the sea. As if to say, my boat was wrecked by you. It's reasonable to take a boat. Several CP0s did not act rashly. Because the safety of the celestial dragons is at stake. When there is no absolute certainty to kill the opponent instantly, their first choice is to pay attention to the changes on the court and guard the celestial dragons at all times. But after hearing Shinzi's words, the eyes of the three CP0s were full of confusion. They couldn't understand Shinzi's operation. Is this feigned, or really don't want to conflict? If it's the latter, they'll accept it, since it's the best option for protecting the celestial dragons. Then call the Holy Land, Mariajoy, for support, and then kill Shinzi. It's not just these three CPOs who are confused. The other Marines also had question marks on their faces. When Shinzi and Kaido stood on the boat, they were startled. Thought that the next inevitable will be a fierce battle. But Shinzi's words left them bewildered. What are you kidding? A big pirate in the rocks, pirates with a bounty of 700 million. Actually want to take the celestial dragon's ship. Some very knowledgeable old marine. They all looked incredible. This also leads to them not knowing what to do next. Do you want to shoot? The Marines clenched their muskets, frowned, and looked at the situation on the field. But seeing the 3-bits CP0 does nothing. He also gave up his plan to shoot. Ha 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 ha, stupid inferior. You lowly creatures want to ride our celestial dragons too. Charmarco seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. His eyes were full of disgust and disdain. Celestial dragons, self-respecting noble pigs. Look if I don't smash your pig's head with a stick. Kaido also didn't understand what Shinzi meant. But he's not going to settle for celestial dragons. Killing the celestial dragons was something he wished for. He cursed directly. The mace in his hand was swung up. Seeing this, Shinzi next to him stopped him. Tisk Kaido, how did you talk? Please pay attention to your attitude. Now in front of you are the world's top nobles, the descendants of the Creator, the gods, above ordinary people, the incomparably noble celestial dragons. You talk like that, but someone will poke your spine. Shinzi rolled his eyes at Kaido, his tone full of respect. As if the celestial dragons were the ones he admired the most. The three CP0s were not at all happy when they heard Chinzi's words. The eyes are more confused. It seems that Chinzi respects celestial dragons very much. But it is impossible to judge the authenticity of the words. So I still didn't act rashly. Sighed. Charma could hear what the two said, and ignored what Chinzi said. My head is full of Kaido's stupid pig. Everyone trembled with anger. This despicable inferior person dared to call himself a pig. Both of these people must die. He was going to knock out all the teeth of these two people and pull out their tongues. Then cut them into human sticks, and finally tortured them to death slowly. Bass. Charmarco stood up angrily. The body is shaking uncontrollably. Yelled, "You three trash, hurry up and arrest them. Grow so big as the venerable celestial dragons. Always pampered. Everywhere is an existence admired by thousands of people. Never been abused. Not to mention being called a stupid pig by the inferior people." While Charmarco was yelling, his body was shaking. Unable to stabilize his body, the whole person fell backwards. Among the three CPOs, one was the first to react. Hastily dodged forward. However, there was a figure faster than him. He supported Charmarco. Chinzi. When the CPO saw it, he was shocked. "Hi." Chinzi returned a characteristic smile and greeted this CP0. Then they distanced themselves. Go back to Kaido's side. So fast. The three CP0s were startled. This Chinzi's strength is probably stronger than the rumors. Lowly inferior. How dare you touch me with dirty hands? Unforgivable. Unforgivable. Chalmer didn't feel the slightest gratitude for Chinzi's help. Instead, it was full of disgust. As if touched by some filth. Say it. Raise the musket in your hand, aim at Chinzi and shoot. Sudden. The expression on Charmarco's face froze, then was replaced by pain. The eyes seemed to protrude from their sockets. He kept spitting out blood from his mouth. Next moment, Charmarco's body fell down. Boom. The corpse hit the deck with a dull sound. It is also the same as the previous Vice Admiral. In an instant, the audience was silent, deathly silence. The three CP0s, Marine soldiers, and even Kaido stared wide-eyed. Celestial dragons. Died. It's over. At this moment, expressions of despair appeared on the faces of both Marine and CP0. Celestial dragons just died in front of them. Everyone on this ship will face punishment. The world government will take all its wrath out on them. What's going on here? What happened? Why did the celestial dragons suddenly die? Chinzi, it must be Chinzi. Some Marine soldiers could not help but tremble. His tone became labored due to shock and panic. Suddenly think of. From the moment when the celestial dragons were about to fall to the ground, to the appearance of Chinzi, and to the death of the celestial dragons. Throughout the process, only Chinzi touched him. Then, everyone turned their eyes to Chinzi. Feel the eyes of everyone. Chinzi sneered inwardly. The moment I touched the celestial dragons just now. He drove the dark energy into his body. Advanced usage of armament hockey. Internal destruction. It is used here with appropriate benefits. But Chinzi's face was full of innocence. Play with porcelain. Why did the celestial dragons die suddenly? You want to testify for me, but I didn't do anything. Everyone saw it with their own eyes. I was kind enough to help him just now. Chinzi's voice was full of grievances, as if the celestial dragons died just now. He is the biggest victim as well. His expression was full of panic and fear. But that doesn't matter anymore. Because the celestial dragons are dead. The three CP0s were so angry that they went crazy. In any case, Chinzi must die. Next moment, the three of them rushed in front of Chinzi. The battle is on the verge of breaking out. The death of celestial dragons touched the biggest taboo of CP0. In their minds, celestial dragons' safety is above all else. Even more important than their own lives. Even if they risked their lives, they would kill Chinzi. In a blink, the three of them rushed in front of Chinzi. A short CP0 hit Chinzi with a strong fist. The other two appeared behind Chinzi at the same time. I don't know when two sharp blades appeared in my hand. It stabbed at the back of Chinzi's heart. See? Chinzi sneered. The fist is directly aimed at the CP0 in front of him. The latter was handed over to Kaido. Because Chinzi saw it at this time. Kaido has already raised the mace in his hand and slammed it hard at the two CP0s behind. And when Kaido launched an attack, the two CP0s also reacted. Immediately giving up the attack, the two turned their wrists at the same time to block the black mace. In an instant, two different voices sounded. The mace hit the two daggers, and the flames blazed. The piercing sound came into people's minds. It's like a ghost screaming. Have to say, Kaido's strong physical fitness is explosive and violent. The huge force shook the arms of the two CP0s. The dagger almost flew out. Immediately, the two CP0s looked at each other, and immediately distanced themselves. Abandoned the idea of double teaming from behind. But the CP0 in front who was fighting Shinzi was not so lucky. Shinzi's strength directly penetrated from his fist to his entire arm. He was knocked out 10 meters away by Shinzi's fist. The whole arm hangs limply by his side. It has already been abolished. Ha ha ha, it's just a stupid pig. You running dogs are in a hurry. Don't worry, you 3 dogs will go down to accompany him next time. Kaido sees the celestial dragons suddenly die. Very happy. Although the stupid pig didn't die at his hands, it didn't affect his mood. Hey, you are too unreasonable. I have always been polite. I respect you very much in my heart. But you not only crashed our ship, you actually wanted to kill us. Shinzi withdrew his fist in the air and said flatly. From the fist fight with that CP0 just now, Shinzi probably understood the strength of these people. Slightly stronger than Vice Admiral, the Marine branch that was killed by him before. But the same strength pulls the hips. The death of celestial dragons has nothing to do with you. You dare to kill the god, you will all die. The CP0 whose arm was crippled by a punch gritted his teeth and said. If only eyes could kill. At this time, Shinzi must have been hacked into pieces by him. Cut. Do you have proof? People's eyes are sharp. He died suddenly, it's none of my business. Celestial dragons can't be suffering from some serious illness. Shinzi looked around at the Marine. With his arm dragging his chin, he said pretending to be thinking. It seems that they are really looking for a reason for the death of celestial dragons. The Marines who were swept by Shinzi's eyes lowered their heads one by one, not daring to make any movements. They don't know what's going on with all this. The scene just now was really weird. It's beyond their comprehension. Perhaps it is really what Shinzi said. Hear this. The 3 CP0's expressions sank and they looked at each other. One of them, the tall, lanky CP0, nodded. The next moment, he was about to flee to the rear. It is clear. The 3 CP0s knew that with their strength, they couldn't kill Shinzi. So one of the fastest ones. They are going to call the Holy Land, Mariajoy, and dispatch the headquarters admiral to kill Shinzi. The remaining 2 stayed behind to resist. See. Shinzi raised his eyebrows. Want to run. Next second. It appeared in front of the thin and tall CP0. Before he had time to react, Shinzi's fist directly pierced his chest. Immediately. Blood rush. Sprayed on the deck, it's like being splashed with a bucket of red dye. Under the mask, the light in this CP0's eyes gradually dimmed. Then completely dissipated. One hit kill. The other 2 CP0s saw this scene. Without any hesitation, holding the heart of mortal, opened the bow left and right. At the same time, it hit Shinzi on both sides. But for such a speed, Shinzi just glanced coldly. In an instant, step into a big hole in the deck. Boom, boom, 2 dull sounds resounded on the luxury cruise ship. On the 2 CPOS. Both had 2 huge wounds. The chest area is bright red. Even from the chest, you can look directly at the deck below them. Blood flowed all over the place. See this scene. Marine present was shocked. The feeling of oppression given to them by the previous 3 CP0s has not faded from their hearts. Did not expect. In a blink of an eye. It has become 3 corpses. Shinzi's strength is too terrifying. Its bounty is definitely more than 700 million berries. World government's information is wrong. Hey, you all saw it. They did it first. I'm doing this in self-defense. Shinzi spread his hands, shrugged and said helplessly. It seems that they were all forced to kill them just now. No solution anymore. Everyone is dead. We can't keep them on the boat. Then come a few people and throw them into the sea to feed the fish. Heard the words. All the Marines were silent. No one dares to step forward. On a luxury cruise ship loaded with heavenly gold. Deathly silence. When Chinzi's words reached their hearts, everyone froze and bowed their heads silently. The pirate world has been ruled by celestial dragons for more than 800 years. In this world, celestial dragons are the real deal. Ordinary people have already been brainwashed. Treat yourself like a pariah completely. Even now the celestial dragons have turned into a corpse. They still dare not take a step forward. I am extremely afraid in my heart. The thoughts imprinted in their hearts are like a cage at this moment, trapping them in it tightly. Even if the lock on the cage is gone, the psychological lock still exists. Dare not step out of the cage. I saw no one answered. Chinzi shook his head. Just when he was about to make a move, a childish voice came out. I come. Following the sound, everyone looked over in unison. It's a little marine who looks like he's in his early teens. Tears welled up in his eyes, as if he had just cried. Without speaking, Chinzi nodded slightly. Seeing the little marine walking towards the celestial dragons step by step, the eyes of the marine next to him were all fixed on him. This kid is the son of Vice Admiral City. From an early age, he was inspired to be like his father. Join Marine is a hero who enforces justice like his father. This mission to protect the celestial dragons, at his strong request, followed his father. This is his first time at sea. Did not expect. It was the last time I saw my father. He sees his heroes, the celestial dragons, being protected along the way. To kill. The marine next to him didn't respond. Just like a father who was shot to death. The belief in his heart collapsed in that gunshot. And the hatred for the celestial dragons. Take a step. Little marine came to the celestial dragons. Two small hands grabbed the clothes tightly and dragged them vigorously on the deck. But it couldn't be dragged. Time passed by every minute and every second. Chinzi, who was leaning against the edge of the boat, did not go up to help. Just watching all this coldly. Finally, a young marine couldn't take it anymore. Stood up. With the first one, there's a second, a third. Soon, dozens of marines stood up. With their help, 4 corpses, with 4 plops, disappeared in the vast sea. The bloodline on the deck was also cleaned up. See, these things are done. Chinzi smiled. Yes, not bad. Those who stood up just now, you can go now. Chinzi said lightly. These people were not intimidated by the corpse. Still a little bloody in my heart. So Chinzi decided to give them a way out. As for the rest, Chinzi turned to look at them. Can't see clearly that each of them is already numb, let alone bloody. Chinzi feels that they don't even have humanity. Released is also a lackey of celestial dragons. As for the rest, Kaido, I leave it to you. Chinzi looked at Kaido next to him, and said slowly. Learn. Kaido had an unruly expression on his face, and understood Chinzi's meaning. He will not be soft on Marine. Ever since, in a burst of screams, those people were all cleaned up. The scene was extremely tragic. As for those Marines who had stood up before, they couldn't help feeling chills down their backs. They were all grateful for the decision just now. With Chinzi's permission, these guys find a boat from a cruise ship. However, when it was dragged out, Chinzi was startled. Just this boat. It is also much more luxurious than some pirate ships. One can imagine how extravagant celestial dragons must be. Soon, the boat was pulled into the water. As if escaping from death, these Marines hurried up. It seemed that Chinzi was very afraid of going back on his word. His eyes were constantly dodging as he left. Chinzi smiled disdainfully at this. Stand at the head of the cruise ship. Watch the ship drift away. Look from afar. There was a little boy who suddenly climbed onto the bow and waved at Chinzi. See it. Chinzi smiled. He stretched out his hand and waved the same. The sea breeze blows on Chinzi's body, and the warmth gradually rises. Chinzi didn't know what would happen to this group of people. You may be bumped into by other pirates on the way, and you may be punished by the world government when you go back. But that's not Chinzi's concern. Why not kill them? Kaido is very puzzled. As a pirate, there is no reason not to kill anyone who encounters Marine. Let them go, and they will report to the world government when they go back. Are you teaching me how to do things? Chinzi withdrew his gaze and glanced at him. Said lightly. Heard the words. Kaido is stunned. At this time, on board, there was one more person who was not dealt with. The slave who was ridden by the celestial dragons walked up to him. Chinzi glanced at it. Male, muscular, with long hair, covers his eyes, wears shorts, and has a huge chain around his neck. Judging from the huge body, belongs to the Titan family. What's your name? Chinzi asked slowly. Heard the words. After half pay. Only then did he realize that he was asking himself. The Titan slave raised his head slowly. With dull eyes, she stared blankly at Chinzi through her long hair. Joe Jolly Buff. It seems that they haven't spoken for a long time. It's been a long time since anyone asked her name. After reacting for a long time, these words came out of his mouth with difficulty. Then he lowered his head again. How about joining the Rocks Pirates and becoming my team? From the very first moment he saw this slave, Chinzi had this intention. It seems to be a very good choice to accept a Titan in the fan team. In the original book, Albaf of the Titan family is the most powerful country in the world. Each individual has immense power. After becoming a team member of your own, you will definitely be able to help a lot when doing things. It is good. Jolie Buff's answer was short, just one word. But that's enough. Sudden, Chinzi Conquerors opens. Next moment, the lock on Jolie Buff's neck was removed. With a wave of his hand, on the surface of the sea, there was a violent explosion. This chain appeared in the original book, so Chinzi recognized it at first glance. The moment it is taken off, or outside a certain range from the owner, it will explode by itself. With the sound of explosion, Chinzi said lightly, "You're free." The necklace around his neck was taken off, but Chow Libafu did not respond. Still on all fours, lying on the deck. Seeing this scene, Chinzi sighed. It seems that he was tortured too hard by the celestial dragons and has become numb. Oh shit, these celestial dragons are really nothing. Just now it seems that it is still too light. Not too light. From the looks of it, the celestial dragons were unharmed. But in his stomach, all the viscera were smashed together under Chinzi's secret force, turning into a pool of rotten meat. He must have suffered greatly before his death. If you think about it that way. Should be too short. The time of suffering is too short. Looking at Chow Libafu, Chinzi said it again. The celestial dragons are dead. You are free. This time he deliberately added celestial dragons. Heard the words. After a long time, I don't know if it was the 5 words, celestial dragons die, that broke the shackles in the deepest part of his heart. Chow Libafu's body was trembling uncontrollably. It may be excitement, or it may be relief. He stood up slowly. Because he had been lying on his stomach for too long, Chow Libafu was shaking when he got up. But, he stood up. Through the black hair, there was a gleam of light in his eyes. After seeing this scene, Chinzi nodded in satisfaction. This man can still be saved. If it is still the same as before, with dull eyes and lifeless eyes. That would show that the fear of celestial dragons runs deep. Or, it's a complete loss of hope in life. If so, Chinzi certainly wouldn't want it. After all, he didn't want to keep a walking dead in his team. Well-meaning Chinzi might help him with a physical release. Next, the most exciting moment has come. Look at how many treasures there are in the gold in the sky. After handling all the affairs, Chinzi thought of the famous heavenly gold. The whole person became excited. Search the wealth of several countries, what a fortune it will be. Kaido next to him was also very excited when he heard the words. Being a pirate is all about treasure. Gold in the sky has never been heard of from pirates. Did not expect. This time, I ran into a ship carrying gold from the sky, and it was right in front of my eyes. No more grumbling. Chinzi and Kaido walked back quickly. Chow Libafu, who was behind, followed behind Chinzi, who was still a little unaccustomed to walking on 2 legs at this time. But fortunately, he has a long pace and can barely keep up with Chinzi's footsteps. After a while, on this luxury cruise ship, there was an exclamation from Chinzi. Swept by the sea breeze, it keeps reverberating. I see. In front of 3 people. It is full of all kinds of treasures. Gemstones, emeralds, pearls, jade. There are all kinds of light. Anything you can think of is here. Even though Chinzi was mentally prepared, when he actually saw it with his own eyes. Still be shocked. Is this the gold in the sky? With these treasures, who would want to be a pirate? Calming down his inner emotions, Chinzi let out a breath. Kaido, how much do you think these treasures are worth? Chinzi is not familiar with the value of treasures in this world. So ask Kaido, the former famous person. It should be worth a lot of money. Kaido didn't expect Chinzi to ask such a question suddenly. He hesitated for a long time and couldn't speak. How did he know? As a teenager under the age of 20. Where have I seen so much money? Even the treasure curry on the Rocks ship, he has never seen it. Things that I don't know are really embarrassing for the pirates. Chinzi complained. Hear this. Kaido was speechless for a while. Do you have knowledge? Do you have the knowledge to ask me? But only dare to whisper in my heart. At this time, Chinzi frowned suddenly. He noticed that there was a wooden box next to the treasure. Beside these radiant treasures, there unexpectedly appeared an unremarkable box. No matter how you look at it, it seems a bit abrupt. Driven by curiosity, Chinzi walked over and looked at it carefully. The entire wooden box was the same as it was seen from a distance, plain and nothing special. Could it be that there are some cheats in it? Then Chinzi shook his head. Why, open it and you'll know what's inside. Why think so much? So Chinzi stopped thinking about it and reached out to open the wooden box. However, when he saw what was inside, he was suddenly stunned. There is no treasure inside, but there is a fruit lying quietly. The curved fruit vine looks like two dragon horns, and a strange-looking fruit is attached to it. It looks like a cyan dragon scale, with some strange curves on the surface. At a glance, Chinzi recognized him. This is the fish fruit from Devil Fruit. Zone Phantom Beast species. This is the fruit that the future 4 emperors Kaido will take. Unexpectedly, I ran into it here. In the original book, this fruit did not appear so early. After the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, this fruit was given to Kaido by Big Mom. Now, because of my own appearance, he was actually met by himself first. Suddenly thought of something, Chinzi turned his head and glanced at Kaido, who was still admiring the treasure not far away. Without any hesitation, he silently pocketed the fruit. Then pretend nothing happened and go back to Kaido. What are you doing sneakily? Kaido looked at Chinzi, who was walking over, and frowned. No reason. Let me see if there is anything good in that box over there. I didn't expect nothing. Chinzi was indifferent to Kaido, blushing and heart beating throughout the whole process. Then changed the subject and continued talking. Look, I'm going up. It's too stuffy down here, but it's still comfortable on the deck. Say it. Chinzi folded his hands behind his head and walked towards the stairs leading to the deck. Joe Libbeth followed closely behind. See Chinzi leave. Kaido didn't linger too much here either. These treasures are really cool when you first see them. But after watching it for a long time, the shock was gone. Back on the deck, 3 people stood in a row, blowing the sea breeze. It's still comfortable outside, the air is fresh. Chinzi stretched his waist and said lightly. It was quite comfortable, but where is our ship heading now? Kaido looked at Chinzi, suddenly thought of this question, and asked with some doubts. The direction of this luxury cruise ship will certainly not coincide with that of the Rocks. So where does it go? Hearing Kaido's words, Chinzi thought of this question. He took out the recording guide, took out the map, and studied it carefully, looking here and there. This seems to be the direction of Mariajoy. Kaido's expression changed upon hearing this. Turn the rudder quickly. Forgot to leave the helmsman on board. On a luxury cruise ship. Chinzi and Kaido looked at each other. What now? Go straight to destroying Mariajoy? Kaido smiled wryly and spoke forcefully. But the tone is bittersweet. Tackling your sister. What else can we do? If we go all the way along this route, wait for the Rocks pirates to collect the corpse for us. Go and study how the rudder of this ship is used. Chinzi rolled his eyes at him. I secretly said in my heart. Kaido, you have changed, and you have learned how to play cold jokes. But it's not funny at all. Say it. Chinzi was about to walk in the direction of the rudder. At this time, Chow Libafu, who had never lived by the side, suddenly spoke. Maybe, I can try. Heard the words. The expressions of Chinzi and Kaido changed at the same time. You know how to steer. Chinzi looked at him, a little disbelieving, and asked with some doubts. I was the captain of a pirate group before I was captured as a slave by my master or celestial dragons. After the celestial dragons, they killed my crew and left me as a slave. During my time as captain, I sometimes took the helm myself, so have some experience with that. When Jollibuf started talking, he wasn't quite used to it yet. But this passage roughly explained the information before he was captured as a slave from celestial dragons. Oh, I didn't expect you to be a captain before. Since you said so, go and try it. I'm here to direct the direction. Chin-zi was delighted when he heard this. Unexpectedly, the first recruited player would come in handy so soon. Sure enough, there are many people in great power. Patting Jollibuf, Chin-zi indicated that he could try it now. After Jollibuf went in. Not for a while, with the dull sound came out. The luxury cruise ship trembled for a while. This is a phenomenon that occurs only when the direction of the hull is shifted. Ha ha ha, unexpectedly, this guy really knows it. See, Kaido laughed. He gave a thumbs up to Jollibuf inside. Ever since, under the command of Chin-zi, with Jollibuf at the helm, the luxury cruise ship belonging to Celestial Dragons is sailing in the direction of the Rock's pirate ship. Although this cruise ship is large, it is equipped with a top-notch power system, which makes it full of horsepower. At full speed, it is much faster than the Rock's. I believe that sailing at this speed will soon meet the Rock's pirates. A luxury cruise ship that belongs exclusively to Celestial Dragons, sailing on this sea can be described in 4 words. Smooth sailing. Because any pirate ship, after seeing this cruise ship, will hide away one by one like avoiding the plague god. After all, not everyone is like Chin-zi, killing Tianlong without blinking an eye, just like killing a pig. This is why Celestial Dragons dared to be so arrogant in this sea. Sitting on the top of the flagpole, Chin-zi looked at the direction of the sea. Kaido sat next to him, also looking into the distance. Is the scenery so beautiful? Kaido asked suspiciously. He saw Chin-zi sitting on top of the flagpole, looking into the distance. I thought there was something nice to see, so I came up to watch it. But there was nothing but the sun and the surface of the sea. I can't help being a little disappointed. How can you understand the mystery of it, you fool? Chin-zi curled his lips and said with a slight sarcasm. Secret. Kaido paused, thoughtful, asked immediately. Speaking of mysteries, I would like to ask. When you killed the celestial dragons earlier, what was the mystery in it? Hearing this, Chin-zi withdrew his gaze from looking at the scenery, tilted his head, and looked at Kaido. Said lightly, want to know? Yes, I do. Kaido answered directly without any hesitation. Although he knew that the death of celestial dragons was done by Chin-zi. But he couldn't see what method was used. I couldn't figure it out all the way, so I was very curious. I can tell you, I can even teach you. But the condition is that you want to join my team. How about it? Chin-zi saw that Kaido was in such a hurry, so he followed the words and expressed his idea of pulling him into the team. Cut. I'm the one who wants to be the team leader, and I won't join any team. Unmoved, Kaido declined Chin-zi's invitation. Indeed, with Kaido's strength, he can join any team he wants. It's just that he didn't choose a team because he wanted to be the captain. Kaido, the layout is too small. Joining my team has many benefits. I will let you be the vice captain directly, and I promise you. You can challenge me at any time, as long as you defeat me, I will give up the position of captain. No complaints. Quote. Chin-zi directly threw out his own conditions and said slowly. Heard the words. Kaido was taken aback. Vice captain. Yes, vice captain. If you beat you, can you be the captain? I, Chin-zi, always keep my word. After getting an affirmative answer, Kaido was silent for a while, thinking quickly in his mind. The vice captain also seems to be good, and is in Chin-zi's team. You can observe Chin-zi closely, so that you can understand him more comprehensively. Defeat him faster in the future. Most importantly, after defeating him, you can also be promoted from vice captain to captain. Thinking about it this way, it seems pretty good. Looking at Kaido who had been thinking, Chin-zi asked. Well, how do you think about it? Okay, as long as what you said is true, I can join. Kaido no longer hesitated, and said with firm eyes. In fact, in the past, Kaido would definitely not agree. Because he hates Chin-zi. But during this period of getting along, Kaido's view of Chin-zi has changed. Although the goal was to surpass Chin-zi, when Kaido saw Shinzi kill the celestial dragons. A trace of admiration rose involuntarily in his heart. After all, everyone is just talking about killing celestial dragons, and there are very few people in the whole world who have actually done so. It's just that Kaido himself didn't notice Shinzi's change. Ha ha ha, of course it counts, now you are the vice captain of my team. You must perform well in the future. Shinzi laughed and patted Kaido on the shoulder. Say it. The other hand took out devil fruit out of nowhere. Throws at Kaido. Is this devil fruit? Kaido took the fruit thrown by Shinzi, looked at it carefully, and was shocked. Kaido, who has been at sea for many years, has heard rumors of devil fruit more than once. Although I haven't really seen it with my own eyes, its appearance is significantly different from other fruits. Because there are weird textures on devil fruit, Kaido recognized it at a glance, but he couldn't tell what kind it belonged to. It's devil fruit, and now it's a gift for you to join my team. Shinzi propped his chin with his hands, raised the corners of his mouth, and spoke slowly. When Shinzi saw this fruit when he was in the golden cabin before, although his heart throbbed a little, he thought about taking devil fruit, but he quickly gave up the idea. Because Shinzi thought that he had inherited Saitama's physique, and if he continued to exercise according to the normal timeline, he would be invincible in the end. Therefore, this devil fruit is of little significance to Shinzi. And the reason why it wasn't given to Kaido when I saw it for the first time. The main reason is to see if Kaido will join his team. If he joins, it is of course the best choice to give him this devil fruit, but if he does not join, Shinzi will naturally not be so generous as to give him away for free. After all, if it is sold, it should be worth hundreds of millions of Baileys. Shinzi, are you sure you want to give me this thing? When Kaido heard Shinzi's words, he thought he had heard it wrong, so he took the words and asked them again. In Kaido's impression, devil fruit is a rare item. Some people spend their whole lives at sea and may never see it once. If you take it out, it's something that people fight over. But now in Shinzi's eyes, it looks like a small toy, giving it away as soon as it is said, which makes Kaido very unreal. Look at how promising you are. It's just a devil fruit. What a fuss. Boy, work hard in my team, and I will guarantee you delicious food and spicy food in the future. Shinzi had an indifferent expression on his face. Seeing it, Kaido felt that Shinzi's image was extremely tall, and against the backdrop of the sun, his whole body was shining brightly. Suddenly thought of a question, Kaido opened his eyes and said. This devil fruit, do you know what kind it is? There are many classifications of devil fruit, although most of them will greatly improve the strength of the eater, but some fruits are also very useless. Not only the strength is not good, but also the weakness of fear of seawater will remain. So when Kaido thought of this, his eyes changed slightly, and he wondered in his heart, did Shinzi get rid of himself with a garbage fruit? Will I give you junk fruit? This is the Yu fruit, a phantom beast. After you fully develop it, you can turn into a dragon. Even calling the wind and calling the rain is not a problem. For you, that's perfect. Shinzi saw Kaido's doubts in his eyes, directly slapped him, and said angrily. Decades later, Kaido who took the Yu fruit was called the strongest creature in the sea, land and air, which shows that this fruit has greatly improved Kaido's strength. And it also shows that under the utilization of Kaido, this fruit has been fully developed. It is said that it is the most suitable for Kaido, and there is no water in it. That's it. That is indeed a fruit with great potential. Wait, why do you know so clearly? And where did you get this fruit? Hearing Shinzi's description, Kaido's eyes lit up, and he looked at the devil fruit in his hand. The more he looked at it, the more he liked it, and he couldn't restrain the smile that emerged from the corner of his mouth. To know the good fruit, the competition is very fierce. However, Kaido's complexion changed, and he paused, thinking of the key issue. How did Shinzi get this fruit, and why he knew it so clearly? Even after awakening, he could transform into a dragon and call the wind and rain. Tisk, why are you talking so much nonsense? Just say, do you want it? Shinzi got a little impatient when he was asked, so he gave him a blank look, and changed the topic directly. Then I can't tell you, I've read pirate comics, right? Hearing this, Kaido. Of course. Take what you want. Don't think about what you have. Improve your strength and strive to defeat me one day. Shinzi regained his indifferent expression, yawned, and spoke slowly. Ah, aren't you afraid that if I eat this fruit, I will directly hammer you to the ground? Kaido looked at Shinzi, lowered his voice and said slowly. Kaido was very puzzled. Shinzi allowed himself to eat such a powerful fruit, wouldn't he be afraid to defeat him and become the captain after his strength skyrocketed? In other words, Shinzi is so confident in his own strength that he is no longer afraid of these things. Looking at the indifferent Shinzi at this time, Kaido secretly thought that this is very possible. However, under this idea, Kaido not only did not have the intention to back down, but wanted to defeat Shinzi even more. Because only such an opponent is worthy of going all out. Well, I look forward to your performance. Shinzi didn't take Kaido's words to heart at all, and responded casually. Then his eyes moved to the distance, and he did not continue on this topic. In the distance, the sun is about to set, and the afterglow shines on the sea, like a landscape painting. Looking at the time, the rocks should meet soon. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.